so we're gonna just
Okay.
plowing right there.
Yeah, because people have flights.
Thank you, everyone. We are going to get started. It is now officially 9 o'clock. So thank you very much. We'll call this meeting to order and begin with a roll call, please.
All right, good morning. Commissioner O'Malley.
Present.
Commissioner Escalante, I don't think is on line yet. Commissioner Hart?
To be present.
No Commissioner Jackson today. Commissioner Kelly is on her way, I believe. Commissioner Lee?
Here.
Commissioner Lopez?
Here.
Commissioner Smith?
Present.
Commissioner Preciado?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson? Giving you a second.
Presente.
Commissioner Brownfield?
Here.
Commissioner Eckerly?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
And Chair Harmon?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. And to my colleagues, just be mindful of quorum this morning. We're right on the bubble. Thank you. Okay, with that, we will move to the virtual meeting procedures, please.
Good morning. This Coastal Commission meeting is occurring both in person and through Zoom. This meeting is also being webcast and can be viewed online at cal-span.org. If you have internet access and wish to watch or listen to the meeting only and not speak on an item, we recommend you use the CalSpan website. Those who wish to address the Commission today can do so in person, through the Zoom platform, or by phone. The speaker request forms may be found on the Commission's webpage. Paper forms and a scannable QR code for paperless submittals are available on the Commission staff table just outside the meeting room. For those on Zoom, we have posted virtual hearing procedures on the Commission agenda webpage, which is a guide on providing comments via Zoom or by phone. Member of the public speaking during general public comments may be given up to 2 minutes to speak at the discretion of the chair. Requests to speak during the general public comment period will not be accepted after 9 a.m. on each day of the meeting. In order to provide the opportunity for the broadest range of public participation, you may speak on a specific topic one time only each month. Those speaking on an agenda item that is not general public comments are typically allowed 2 to 3 minutes to speak at the discretion of the chair. We will accept a request to speak on a regular agenda item until the chair opens the hearing on that particular item. If you have internet access, please go to the Commission webpage and click on the link to fill out a speaker request. If you do not have internet access or prefer to testify by phone, please call the Commission staff at 562-477-9089. Again, that number is 562-477-9089. Staff will provide you with a telephone call-in number and instructions on how to participate and provide testimony by phone. We will manage speakers coming in and out the meeting through a meeting organizer. When it is your time to address the Commission, the organizer will invite you to turn on your video and microphone or provide instructions on how to unmute the phone. Madam Chair, that concludes the virtual hearing procedures.
Great. Thank you very much, Simone. And now we will go to agenda changes, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair Harmon, and good morning, Commissioners. The posted agenda changes memo is all accurate. All told, there are 3 agenda changes for today. Item 7A has been moved to consent. Item 9A has also been moved to consent. And item 11A has been postponed. And that concludes the agenda changes for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now to general public comment, please, Simone.
For members of the public, I will be announcing the names of the upcoming speakers and invite you to speak when it's your turn. Each speaker will be allowed 2 minutes during general public comments at the discretion of the chair. In order to allow for live video testimony on Zoom, we'll be bringing you in as a panelist. As we bring you in, your Zoom will reload. This may take a moment to speed up the process. We will bring several people in at a time, but please remain muted and keep your video off until we ask you to speak. At this time, after your time is up, you will be moved back to attendee mode. For members of the public present in the room, I will call your names in the order that they appear on our sign-up list. When you hear your name, please line up behind the podium and introduce yourself when you approach to speak. There is a raise hand function that will help us find you in the attendee list. If you are using a phone for audio, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. If you are participating by Zoom, you should see a button on your Zoom screen. If you have signed up to speak for this item and are able to do so, please raise your hand now. When it's your time to speak, we will invite you to unmute and turn on your camera. You can unmute yourself on a phone by dialing *6. So in person, we have Adam Leverez, and then we'll go to Zoom, followed by Jeff Edwards, Cynthia Raplogi. I apologize if I said that wrong.
Good morning. Have a couple slides. Another small venue makes me glad I got up so early to drive to be here. If I have my slides coming up, Chris. On the left here is a section of Newport Beach Harbor Code. It provides that 7% of the number of offshore mooring permits, they can also hold a liveaboard permit. That equates to approximately 51 units of affordable housing in the coastal zone. I'm told Newport Harbor is about 880 acres. Density-wise, that works out to 1 unit of housing per 17 acres, which is very low density and low impact. I've been involved, as many of you know, trying to protect mooring permit holders from losing their coastal access to different city plans for several years. And having interacted with a lot of these people, the math didn't add up to me. So in April, I asked the Harbor Department how many liveaboard permits are actually issued right now. Having not received an answer in about a week's time, I emailed the city clerk to ask the same question. Next slide, please. About 3 weeks later, I got the total number, which is 44. That means there are 7 available code-allowed, heavily regulated affordable housing units in Newport right now. And I know people waiting for these and have been on a wait list for a period of time. The city, though, is trying to eliminate this form of affordable housing. And as evidenced, a survey they're circulating right now, what should they do with the liveaboard program? One of the responses is to end it. The deputy harbor master was asked over a half a dozen times, like, when can these people apply and get their inspections and be permitted? And after that, he said they're not issuing anymore right now until the Harbor Commission has opportunity to review the program. I've heard at many of your meetings, you know, the difficulties and challenges of affordable housing in the coastal zone. The city of Newport Beach, as I've said at some other meetings, keeps eliminating affordable housing rather than keeping it or even adding to it. And I just, these things exist, they're lawfully allowable. I hope the city can allow people that are waiting for housing to get them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll be going to Zoom. Jeff Edwards, followed by Cynthia Replugal, followed by Jesse Fleming.
Thank you. Good morning. I do have a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay,
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Jeff Edwards. And please take the chance to review this PowerPoint at your convenience, given the limited time this morning. I would say now is the formative time. The ODSVRA is not closing, and the status quo is unacceptable. Slide, please. The 1982 CDP Special Condition of Approval 1B requires permanent access and staging to be established at a southern entrance. That option is available now. It's time to close Pier Avenue to vehicle access and avoid Arroyo Grande Creek crossing. Next slide, please. It's time to resolve ownership issues within the ODSVRA, engage with Native American tribal leaders, review all conservation plans, including the federal HCP approved recently and the Air Pollution Control District stipulated order of abatement, target 1,500 acres of riding and camping area, and establish a primary access to the ODSV at the closed refinery at Phillips 66. Next slide, please. There's a direct 5-mile, next slide, please. There is a immediate 5-mile direct access from the Willow Road and Highway 101 interchange. The last alternative access study was completed in 2006, and it's been 44 years since the CDP contemplated a southern entrance. It's time to free Pier Avenue from vehicle access and the community of Oceano, open Phillips 66 to a southern entrance to the ODS VRA, and re-envision the park via an amendment to the CDP. Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia Replago, followed by Jesse Fleming, Patty Judd.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Replogle, a Pismo Beach resident, and may I spoke against the CDP waiver for the city's mechanical beach grooming program. It's not up for renewal for 5 years, but I'd like to explain why this shouldn't have been a waiver at all, and what I've learned through subsequent CPRA requests. Coastal Act Section 30624.7 permits a waiver only where a project has no potential for any adverse effect. But the waiver notice itself imposes mitigation measures, conditions that exist because effects were anticipated. A project can't simultaneously require mitigation and have no potential for effect. That inconsistency should have routed this to a full CDP. Responses to my CPRA request confirm that factual assertions on which the waiver relied are unsubstantiated. First, the city has no baseline trash load data for manual cleaning, so it used visitor numbers as a proxy. And the city has confirmed in writing that it has no source for those visitor numbers. I note also that without trash load data before grooming, at renewal, there will be no way to gauge the machine's relative effectiveness or necessity. Second, I asked your staff for the basis of their claims in the addendum that Pismo Beach is one of the most highly visited beaches in the Central Coast, and that manual cleaning has limited effectiveness. Your office confirmed that there are no responsive records for either assertion. Staff verbally represented at the May meeting that they had processed a number of these waivers before, so I asked to see them. I received one thin 2012 waiver for Monterey, a heavily used urban beach, unlike Pismo Beach. I realize the Pismo Beach waiver can't be undone, but want to caution commissioners about the points raised, which I have no reason to believe are isolated to this instance. Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse Fleming, Patty Judd, Sandra Holloway.
Hello, I have slides as well.
Yes, we're pulling them up.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jesse Fleming. My husband and I have lived on the waters of Newport Beach Harbor for over 40 years. We work captaining and entertaining while providing coastal access for many others. The income from this doesn't allow us to own a home where we work. This first slide is from a recent article described how out of whack home pricing is here in Southern California. I think we're all aware and well understand the challenges of affordable housing, particularly in the coastal areas. Next slide, please. There's an article from this past week that notes a home selling here in Newport Beach for $48.5 million. Even an average home here is $7 to $8 million and far beyond the reach of many. We live here on our boat. We care about the harbor. We are often the first on the scene in crisis. It is common for liveaboards to save vessels from crashing, paddleboarders from drowning, thefts from happening, and identify harbor issues early on. For the city and the state land to eliminate our last means of affordable housing and coastal boating access in Orange County, the only opportunity many have to provide for themselves their own home, it runs counter to logic. Boats are here on the moorings anyway. We pay rent and we use the space. These spaces are already rented and occupied. Why not allow these already occupied spaces to continue to offer affordable housing in the coastal access areas? How can the city and the state lands think is helpful during this incredible housing crisis to eliminate the existing program that provides a very limited number of affordable housing opportunities? We have 51 liveaboards here in this large harbor. These boats are not anchor outs or houseboats. They are annually inspected, highly regulated, and closely monitored daily. It is not a good idea to use the space that is occupied with boats anyway to also provide housing for people that can afford it. Is it not a good idea is what I'm trying to say. And consider please that we'll be losing our homes as well as living in these areas for decades. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty Judd, Sandra Holloway, Hein Austin.
Hi, my name is Patty Judd. I'm a coastal resident, and I'm here today regarding the approved development at 501 Sandpoint Road and whether the construction required to build it belongs anywhere near the Carpinteria Salt Marsh. Ooh, the fonts aren't working. Okay. Next slide. Have you stood there? Have you actually stood and looked at this site? Not on a map, but stood there, because when you do, you notice something. There isn't empty land waiting for a project. It already exists. California once had wetlands up and down the coast, and most of them are gone. And this is one of the last. And once a place like this changes, you don't get it back. Next slide. This marsh does real work. It's not empty land. It shelters birds, filters water, buffers storms, supports marine life, and asks nothing from except the chance to keep doing what's always done there. It's not empty land, it's a living ecosystem, and it's still doing exactly what it was meant to do. Next slide. Now think about the construction. Deep foundations, drilling rigs, concrete trucks, steel deliveries, cranes. Months of heavy construction, all moving down one narrow lane with a fragile marsh just feet away and natural habitat around. The plans show the finished development. They don't show what it takes to build it. Next slide. Places like this don't get a second chance. I'm simply asking you to take one more careful look at what it takes to build this project and what this means for California's last remaining coastal salt marshes. We have the opportunity to get it right. Next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra Holloway, Hein Austin, and then Anna Christensen. We have about 7 speakers left.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Sandra Holloway, a San Diego resident. I speak today regarding serious, ongoing permit violations at the San Onofre nuclear storage site. At a recent commission meeting, Commissioner Nothoff explicitly warned this body that the existing coastal development permits conditions at San Onofre were not being fully complied with. She directly asked staff what enforcement actions were being taken. Shockingly, staff completely ignored her directive and failed to provide any answer regarding San Onofre. Because the commissioner openly states that it relies substantially on the public's help to catch Coastal Act violations, I'm here to give you the answer that your staff withheld. Southern California Edison is violating Special Condition 7 CDP of 9-15-0228 and Special Condition 19 of CDP 9-19-0144. Both conditions legally mandate a strict inspection and maintenance program to ensure the structural integrity of 73 damaged, scratched, and gouged nuclear waste canisters. Instead, Edison is using a flawed math method that deliberately underestimates the depth of canister damage. An independent third-party report required by this commission explicitly recommended that Edison use only the accurate calculation method, warning that Edison's current math corrupts the safety data. To make matters worse, Edison is claiming to the public that this commission approves of these faulty calculations. Furthermore, Edison has restricted public transparency by withholding the required exclusion area plan during their demolition permit process. Utility ratepayers have already funded billions of dollars to clean up after this facility. We have an absolute right to full transparency and public safety. I am formally requesting that this commission direct its enforcement program to immediately open a full investigation into Edison's permit violations. And I demand a formal public response to the question Commissioner Nothoff asked weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Hein Austin, Anna Christensen, Leslie Kashiwada.
Can you bring up my slide, please?
Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Hein Austin, and I'm once again asking the Commission to require the City of Newport Beach to obtain a coastal development permit before further implementing its program to replace long-standing private mooring permits with city-controlled mooring licenses. This mooring license program poses a structural change in how affordable recreational boating access has historically been provided in Newport Harbor. It raises serious questions regarding public access, lower cost recreational opportunities, and long-term coastal access under the Coastal Act, including Public Resource Code Section 30210, 30213, and 30220. For decades, under the management of the city and state lands, the only way to obtain a mooring permit was through a required transfer process. Permit holders accepted the costs and obligations imposed by the system, including transfer fees, maintenance responsibilities, and ongoing permit fees. State Lands Report 105 acknowledges that many permit holders acquired their permits with the expectation that they could later transfer them and recover a portion of their costs. Staff also stated that it was not taking a position on whether compensation should be provided if those expectations are eliminated. This slide shows that in 2022, the city first promoted a voluntary buyback program. Now the city wants to confiscate all mooring permits, convert them into city-owned mooring licenses, and raise the mooring fees by 500%. The Coastal Act is built on public participation and protecting coastal access. So we respectfully ask again the Commission to ensure this significant policy change proceeds through the open, transparent process that California law requires. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't see Anna Christensen right now, so we'll go to Leslie Kashiwada, followed by Leslie Purcell, and then Karen Baker. Leslie.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Leslie Kashiwada, and I'm honored to speak before you and to the general public. I'm here to tell you about some findings by Project HERE, which was funded by the DTSC to educate the community of Fort Bragg and the Mendocino Coast about the status of remediation on the former Georgia Pacific Mill site. Next slide, please. On May 7th, Project HERE held a community meeting led by our technical assistant, Stephanie Aguilar, and she spoke about 4 main topics as shown here. A video of this presentation is on our website. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our citizen science effort, sampling mussels adjacent to the old mill ponds under a Fish and Wildlife scientific collecting permit. Next slide, please. As shown here, our sample sites included 2 at Soldier Bay and 1 north of Fort Bragg at Bruhel Point, which is just south of Blues Beach, where Caltrans just concluded 2 years of roadway stabilization work. Next slide, please. Our methodology was to collect mussels at these 3 sites on 2 occasions. One was in October of 2025, and the other was in February of 2026. Next slide, please. The photo on the left shows the mussel bed at Bruhel Point. The photo on the right shows bagged mussels at Soldier Bay South. Next slide, please. Analysis of PCBs shows their presence at all 3 sites on both dates. However, the concentration of PCBs is significantly higher in the sites adjacent to the mill ponds compared to the reference. Next slide, please. Analysis of dioxin shows a significantly higher TEQ in the sites adjacent to the mill ponds compared to the reference. Notice that mussels at Soldier Bay appear to be too contaminated to consume, as indicated by the upper red line. Next slide, please. This is a view east from the Soldier Bay South site showing Pond 8 spillway and a beach which continues to be fenced off from the public. Next slide, please. In conclusion, we sent this information to your North Coast staff and other agencies, to the city, to the landowners. The results are preliminary, and we're going to continue trying to understand what these data mean. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leslie Purcell, followed by Karen Baker, and Christensen. Still don't see her. So it's about 3 more speakers and that's it, or 2, really. Leslie Purcell, if you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, commissioners. I just had a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention relative to future coastal issues. So in Ventura, we have Caltrans is proposing to change the off-ramp from the 101, where it now ends at California Street going north. And California Street is the one that comes down to the promenade where the Crowne Plaza is, and create three lanes in the off-ramp going to the next intersection at Oak Street. It's going to be a huge project, and I just can't imagine how it's going to affect traffic while they're doing it. And that they're having a hearing on that the 27th of this month at the museum, Ventura County. So we'll learn more about it then, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, I was driving down to Santa Monica yesterday afternoon on PCH. I was amazed and shocked to see the damage. Well, the fact that so many houses right along the edge of the coastline there are gone from the fires. I had no idea. And what it shows you is how absolutely narrow and tiny that strip of so-called land, which a lot of it's just riprap rock, and then pilings. There's no even land there. There's just pilings left where some of these houses were burned. But what's noteworthy also is there are for sale signs all along the highway, different realtors, different signs at each different location. And honestly, it's almost impossible to imagine how they could sustainably rebuild on these sites. And I'm guessing that that would be coastal development permits would be required. So please think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Baker? Karen, I see you unmuted. Karen, can you try to speak for us? Okay, she muted. Okay, let's unmute you again. Unmute yourself. Okay, we can't see or hear you. Okay, Karen Baker's having some technical difficulties right now. Anna Christensen, if you're available. Okay, no Anna Christensen. Karen Baker, you want to try one more time for us? I see you unmuted. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Karen Baker. We'll have to try you another time or another hearing, okay? Or please submit your public comment and they can look at it for you. Thank you. Sorry. No more speakers.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you to the public for your testimony. I'll return to my colleagues. Any questions, comments? Vice Chair Hart.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if Director Huckelbridge, you could clarify for the speaker regarding the coastal development exemption, permanent exemption in Malibu. So no, unfortunately. She was just, the speaker was just saying, I'm assuming all of the houses that burned in the fire on the small strip of land are subject to coastal development permits. I just thought we should clarify.
That's right. So per the executive order from Governor Newsom, they're all rebuilds in Malibu and Palisades and areas that were affected by the fires have been exempted from permitting requirements, given, there's some restrictions around what that looks like, but yes, they do not require coastal development permits if it is a rebuild of a structure was damaged in the fire.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Wilson.
And just to note that mimics what was already in terms of our, in terms of the Coastal Act, right?
The details, there's a couple of different details that are different in the executive order, but yes, there is an existing exemption in the Coastal Act for rebuilds of fire damaged properties. That's correct.
So this is the time when I'd like to take a moment to thank the city of Ventura for having us and hosting us. One of the most coastal accessible communities that we have probably been in. This beach is amazing. The break is out of control. And I know you're not supposed to talk about awesome surf breaks, but I think this one's pretty much known. You can see it from everywhere. It's there's no secret to it. So I don't think I'm letting this one out of the bag, but it is amazing. And there's multiples of them. So the promenade or the waterfront walkway is wide and great. The downtown is super fun. I want to say really accessible, extremely walkable, family friendly, but also nightlife friendly as well. Got all the things. It's just a wonderful town, and we've spent here in downtown at the Crowne Royal, which has been. Do I have that right? Plaza. Sorry. I did that last time we stayed at one of these places. But anyways, what I'm getting at the Crowne Plaza, the hotel's been great. The staff's been wonderful. The location is amazing. So shout out to that. We also stayed in the southern end of Ventura a few months ago, kind of more in more of an industrial zone and harbor zone. Also really fun and cool. And I want to say the breweries down there were great, and the dining was cool. Really amazing spots. Actually, the architecture was really interesting. So what I'm just getting at is thank you, Ventura, for hosting us. We had a wonderful time. Some of us got a chance to walk in your awesome botanical garden, which was really cool if you're into hummingbirds especially. And the views were amazing. And so I just shout out to Ventura. Thank you so much for having us. What a wonderful, wonderful city, great community. And just from a coastal access perspective, just you really got it going on. Thank you so much.
That was lovely. I agree. Okay, with that, we will move on to the consent calendar, those items that have been removed from the regular calendar, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair Harmon. As I described earlier today, we have 2 items that have been moved to the consent calendar for today, which I will quickly identify. Item 7A, this is the Mellin single-family home improvements in Seadrift in Marin County. And item 9A, this is the City of Capitola LCP amendment related to adaptation planning and resiliency, especially for their Cliff Drive corridor. I would note that we received comments from the Surfrider Foundation regarding item 9A, the Capitola LCP amendment. Those comments raised a series of potential concerns, and we subsequently worked closely with the city and Surfrider to reach an agreement on modifications that could be made to address concerns. And those modifications are reflected in the addendum we distributed earlier. With the addendum, it's our understanding that all parties are in agreement with the staff recommendation. And as to the other case, the applicants are in agreement with the staff recommendation, and we aren't aware of any objections. Thus, we continue to recommend that the Commission approve these 2 items through the consent calendar.
Great, thank you very much. Any ex partes? Seeing none, any public comments?
Only available for questions.
Great, thank you. Comments?
I move to adopt the consent calendar.
Turn on the mic, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Talking about awesome surf breaks is okay, by the way. It is beautiful here. So I did drive down from Capitola, so thank you for the opportunity to speak. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Leslie Nielsen. I own property immediately adjacent to the Cliff Drive Resiliency Project in Capitola. And I'd like to thank the Commission staff and the City of Capitola for the extensive work reflected in this local coastal program update. I especially appreciate the recognition that shoreline planning must now account for sea level rise, evolving coastal science, and that the preferred long-term objective is a continuous shoreline stabilization system. I also want to make the Commission aware that the adjacent property owners have expressed our desire to work collaboratively with both the City and the Commission staff. Earlier this year, we submitted a proposal offering a significant private financial contribution toward an integrated solution that could improve continuity of shoreline protection and potentially provide additional public benefits if mutually acceptable implementation agreements can be reached. Whether that collaborative opportunity ultimately moves forward or not, I respectfully ask that as future permits are considered, the shoreline continue to be evaluated as one connected coastal system rather than as isolated property segments. Careful evaluation of endpoint effects and potential flanking erosion will be important to protecting both public infrastructure and adjacent properties. Thank you for your consideration, and I appreciate the Commission's continued leadership in helping communities adapt to California's changing coastline. Thanks.
We also have Mitch Silverstein. Sorry, I didn't see Mitch. He's on Zoom.
Thanks, Simone. Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Mitch Silverstein with Surfrider Foundation. Here in support of the Capitola LCP amendment, we're asking you to approve it, and I want to explain briefly why we're pleased with where it landed. Capitola's road along the shoreline, Cliff Drive, is eroding, and the city's grappling with how to protect it while maintaining public access. Their current strategy is stabilization, which, as you know, Surfrider is not a fan of, because when you stabilize a bluff, you lose your beach every single time. But this amendment sets ground rules for that process. As originally written, one policy could have been read to let a project along that road skip past the city's own updated rules for when shoreline armoring is allowed. Staff caught that, and the modifications in front of you fix it. Any armoring there now has to clear the same tests as anywhere else. It has to be the least damaging option available, and any impacts on the beach and on public access have to be fully mitigated. Staff also confirmed something important in the findings. The Coastal Act allows armoring to protect structures that existed before the Act took effect in 1977. Staff made clear in the addendum that's how this LCP will be read, consistent with the courts, and that roads and parking lots generally don't qualify for armoring on other grounds. That clarity matters not only for Capitola, but statewide. I want to thank Rainey Graven and Kiana Ford. They were already pushing the city on, that's your Central Coast staffers who worked on this. They were already pushing the city on most of this before Surfrider ever wrote in. And I think our suggestions reinforced their work, and they took time to sit down with us and the city to get these right. This is a first phase. The bigger questions, including how long armoring should last and when it needs to come out, are going to the city's next update, which will address coastal hazards across the city as a whole. And we look forward to working with staff and the city on those. Thank you.
Okay, no more speakers.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks to our speakers. Okay, I'll return to the commission. Comments, questions, the motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar items.
Second.
That is a motion by Commissioner Kelly, a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, now we will move on to item 6, the Deputy Director's report for the North Central Coast District, please.
Thank you, Chair Harmon. In the North Central Coast District Director's report this month, we are reporting 1 waiver and 2 emergency permits. We're not aware of any objections or controversy regarding these matters, and so the question is whether 4 or more commissioners object to the waiver, and if not, then the commission will concur.
Thank you very much. Any ex partes? Any public comments?
Only 2 available for questions.
Great. Do 4 or more commissioners object to any item in the Deputy Director's report? Seeing no objections, the commission concurs. Thank you. Now on to item 7B, please.
Yes, and we have a presentation. Okay, good morning, commissioners. Item 7B is a proposed Hyatt hotel project in the city of Half Moon Bay, where slide 1 shows a rendering of the project on the project site, roughly outlined in red between Highway 1 and Main Street, with renderings of hotel buildings and other amenities shown. Before getting started, I note that we distributed an addendum yesterday that responds to comments received and that makes some minor modifications to the staff recommendation. You'll recall that this project was originally approved by the city of Half Moon Bay and appealed to the commission last year, and the commission found substantial issue at the time related primarily to public view and lower cost accommodations concerns. In the time since, staff has worked with the applicant on a modified project intended to address the concerns raised by the commission. The revised hotel project now includes 110 rooms that have been oriented in a different configuration to minimize view impacts, where 22 rooms will be provided at lower cost rates. The project also includes substantial open space, landscaping, and ADA-compliant public trails in the area between Highway 1 and the hotel, as can be seen on this slide. Next slide, please. Slide 2 gives you a regional orientation to the area with Half Moon Bay city limits noted here in white and Pillar Point Harbor, El Granada, and Moss Beach areas noted to the north. The project site, indicated in red here, is located in the southern half of Half Moon Bay at the southern gateway to the city where Main Street hits Highway 1. The site is made up of a roughly 5-acre undeveloped property to the south and a roughly 2.5 acre property developed with an auto dealership to the north. The subject site is within the designated Highway 1 scenic corridor, which extends 200 yards from either side of the right-of-way, and inland views in the area show the Santa Cruz mountain range foothills and ridgelines, a visual resource the LCP aims to protect by requiring obstructions into the ridgeline by new development to be minimized. Next slide, please. Slide 3 zooms in and shows the project site from above, showing all 3 affected property areas with Highway 1, Main Street, and Seymour Street all noted. Parcel 1 is a roughly 5-acre undeveloped property where the hotel would be located, and parcels 2 and 3 make up the existing auto dealership property spanning Seymour Street. The lot line adjustment would affect the boundary between lots 1 and 2, leaving a 4.5-acre area for the hotel, and the 4-lot subdivision would occur on lot 3, leading to 4 lots there. Next slide, please. Slide 4 focuses on the land division aspects of the project. At the top, the property north of Seymour Street would be subdivided into 4 lots, shown in red. At the bottom, the existing property with the auto dealership is shown in yellow, and it would be expanded onto the vacant parcel by approximately half an acre, where the expanded area is shown in green. The rest of the site, extending to the south and off this slide shown in blue, would be the 4.5-acre undeveloped site where the hotel is proposed. Next slide, please. Slide 5 shows the proposed hotel site plan. In this view, the hotel buildings are shown in light green with the parking lot between them and Main Street at the bottom of the slide. At the top of the slide, the darker green shows the vegetated open space area with the public access pathway system seen snaking through, and Highway 1 just above that. The hotel includes about 70,000 square feet with 110 guest rooms in 3 main buildings spread across the site, with 2 connected buildings and a 3rd detached building further to the south or left in this image. The northernmost structure, to the right, would be 3 stories and 36 feet tall. The middle building would be 1 story and 25.5 feet, and the southernmost building would be 1 story and 22 feet. And for reference, that means that most of the buildings are lower than the 36-foot maximum allowed by the LCP. 88 of the rooms would be offered at market rates, with 22 offered at lower costs using the Commission's lower cost methodology. The Main Street side of the site would be developed with a 114-space surface parking lot with 102 standard spots, 5 ADA spaces, and 7 EV charging stations. And finally, an approximately 2-acre portion of the site fronting Highway 1 would be retained as open space, and this area would support native landscaping and be improved with publicly accessible and ADA compatible pedestrian and bike paths with access to a public restroom, benches, and interpretive signage. Next slide, please. As indicated earlier, the Highway 1 corridor is an LCP designated scenic corridor to which certain siting and design rules apply, and the Commission's substantial issue was driven primarily by public view concerns. Slide 6 provides a visual rendering of the hotel project as approved by the city, as seen from the Naomi Partridge Trail, just seaward of Highway 1. As you can see, the project would have resulted in a large structure inland of Highway 1 that would, from certain vantage points, have blocked views of upland slopes and foothills to the east, where the LCP would require these obtrusions be minimized. The only portion not blocked is at the 32-foot wide breezeway between the 2 hotel buildings in this view, roughly at the center of this image. Next slide, please. And slide 7 shows additional views of that prior project, here as seen from the northbound lane of Highway 1, approaching the site from the south. From these perspectives, the structure has not yet blocked any views of the upland slopes or ridgelines. Next slide, please. In the time since the Commission took jurisdiction over the permit, staff and the applicant have coordinated on a project reconfiguration intended to reduce public view impacts. In that regard, slide 8 shows the currently proposed hotel configuration from a similar perspective just seaward of Highway 1, directly in front of the hotel. The building on the right has been reduced to 1 story at 25.5 feet in height, and that building no longer obtrudes into the ridgeline views in this vista, as they can now be seen over that building's roofline. The larger northern building, which is 3 stories and would contain most of the guest rooms, still impacts the ridgeline views, but the gap between the 2 buildings has been widened, more than doubling the distance between buildings nearest Main Street and increasing such distance by 50% in this view nearest the highway. In addition, the applicant has introduced additional design features, windows, and articulation to help reduce the wall-like massing of the prior version of the hotel. Next slide, please. In addition to reconfiguring the buildings to lower roof lines and spread development across the site, impacts to public views for the newly proposed project are tempered by the fact that the hotel buildings would be set back between about 40 to 118 feet from Highway 1 across the frontage, with the largest building to the south the furthest setback. The buildings are also fronted by open and landscaped areas to help reduce and soften perceived visual impacts of the structures, where this area will be required to be maintained and deed restricted so that it will continue to function in this way for as long as a hotel is here. As you can see on slide 9, the ridgeline views still dominate across the site over the roof lines for a majority of the site from this vantage point, and the southernmost building, which is closest to Highway 1, is only 1 story, does not obtrude into the ridgeline, and mostly disappears behind the Half Moon Bay sign, which demarcates the city's southern gateway entrance. In the larger context of the surrounding development, this project is located in the town center area, where the LCP encourages commercial development to be clustered and where some larger structures already exist, including the city's coastside fire station with its 4-story fire training tower across the street from the hotel site. Further conditions of approval require the final design to fit with the surrounding coastal agricultural aesthetic and blend in with similar design choices. Overall, staff believes that the newly proposed project minimizes impacts to visual resources, preserves community character, in a way that upholds the intent of the LCP's protections. Next slide, please. With respect to LCP requirements for lower cost overnight accommodations, the prior city-approved project was a moderate cost hotel project with 96 moderate cost rooms and 6 lower cost rooms, something which the Commission took issue with at the substantial issue phase. In the time since, staff has worked with the applicant to increase lower cost lodging opportunities, including to meet the LCP requirements that lower cost rooms be provided at a rate of 25% of the number of higher cost rooms. And here the applicant has met that requirement with 22 lower cost rooms. In addition, the applicant is also offering a robust package of public amenities, including public restrooms, benches, and bike rentals, and will specifically develop a system of public bike and pedestrian trails that are ADA compliant in the open space area where native landscaping will also occur. These public pathways will link up the hotel's open space to the southern gateway to the city, and will also provide public amenities such as park benches and interpretive signage to guide and inform the public. Next slide, please. The project also includes a set of transportation demand management, or TDM, requirements. On-site parking includes both ADA options and EV charging at the LCP prescribed rate, with the parking lot essentially hidden from Highway 1 views. Tribal and cultural resources were not found on the site, but based on requests by tribes through the consultation process, a tribal monitor is required to be present during all ground disturbance, and stop work and consultation requirements are in place should resources be found, assuring that any cultural resources that might be identified are protected. The project is also conditioned for a plastics reduction program to minimize, to the maximum extent feasible, the use of single-use plastics in all aspects of hotel operations. Next slide, please. In short, the project should result in the development of a higher priority visitor-serving hotel with both free public access features and lower cost rooms at a location capable of accommodating it. Although the hotel structures are fairly large, they also sit on a large site that the LCP targets for this use, and the project has been modified from the version that the Commission last reviewed to better spread out massing and to increase articulation in a way that helps to minimize view impacts. For the reasons discussed, staff is recommending approval of the CDP with required conditions, and the single motion and resolution to do so is found on page 5 of the staff report. This concludes the staff presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any ex partes to report? Okay, seeing none, we will turn to the applicant. Good morning.
We're getting your
You just
PowerPoint up
press
right
that.
now.
There you go. Thank you. And I believe you've asked for 10 minutes on the clock.
Well, he did such a good job, it won't take that long.
Perfect. We'll go with 10. We can reserve the time. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair, Commission, and staff. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Greg Jameson. I am a resident of Half Moon Bay. We have a small Ford dealership that's adjacent to this property, and we've been there now for over 40 years. So we like to spend a lot of time in our community, and I spend many hours going to meetings and just try to support our community. This project now has been in the works for some time. I do have a small slideshow, but I'm only going to use a couple of the slides. So if you could just jump to slide 4. Okay, so that is the latest plan that you saw already. I would like to say that I'd like to pay tribute to Stephanie Rexing and Isabel Cooper for doing such a good job in coming up with some of the design changes. We worked for several months to get to this point, but it did solve a lot of issues, as the middle building used to be 2 stories. And through all the planning, we were able to convert that to 1 to get it below the ridge line. And that building was like 177 feet long, so that much more of the view has improved since the original plan. And then the south building is a 1-story already, so it has no effect on the views. Between the buildings and the highway is all native landscaping and bike paths and walking paths for the pedestrians. So we're able to enhance our southern gateway where we're located, and it's very inviting for the public when they're coming into Half Moon Bay. We can jump up to slide 7. So for the community benefits, there's many, but as the list shows there, one of the biggest ones is the TOT tax that'll help support our city. We have a lot of downtown shops and restaurants that this will majorly support. We don't have many hotel rooms downtown, so that will be a very good thing for our community. And tourism. We have a lot of people come to Half Moon Bay, but not necessarily spend money there. They don't really even know downtown exists, so this will help draw them to downtown to support that as well. Those are pretty much all my comments, and I want to thank you, and I'm available to answer any questions later if necessary, and also my team is here as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll reserve 7.5 minutes for rebuttal in the event you'd like to follow up after public comment. Okay, thank you very much. With that, Simone, to you.
All right, we have Ann Blanker available for questions, and then we'll move on to Mayor Debbie Ruda. She is on Zoom. Deborah? You're on mute. You're still muted. There you go.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. The City of Half Moon Bay supports the Hyatt Place Hotel project. The city believes the approved project appropriately balances protection of the city's coastal resources with the Coastal Act's mandate to prioritize visitor-serving uses. And the important word here is balance. The Coastal Act, as you know, is not intended to stop or prevent development, but to balance development in the coastal zone with coastal resource protection measures and protecting coastal public access. I point that out only because many of the project opponents do not understand this. The proposed 110-room hotel advances one of the central objectives of the California Coastal Act by expanding visitor-serving accommodations within the coastal zone. Coastal Act Section 30222 establishes that visitor-serving commercial recreational facilities on suitable private lands should receive priority over other forms of development. This project directly implements this policy by providing overnight accommodation in an area appropriate for visitor-serving commercial uses. Additionally, a portion of the hotel rooms satisfy the Commission's definition of low-cost affordable rooms, broadening access to the California coast for lower-income visitors. This is particularly important for me, as before retiring, I was the legislative analyst for the California Coastal Conservancy and participated in drafting AB 250, which established the state's lower cost accommodations program. The project provides public benefits beyond hotel accommodations. The approved design includes more than 2 acres of publicly accessible open space, native landscaping, wetland buffer enhancements, outdoor seating, interpretive signage, pedestrian and bicycle pathways, and bike rentals. These improvements transform what is currently an undeveloped site into a public amenity that expands opportunities for recreation and appreciation of Half Moon Bay. Thank you. I wish you 50 more years of success.
Thank you. Next is Leslie Lacko, followed by Matthew Chidester.
Hi. I'm Leslie Lacko. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Half Moon Bay. And Luke did such a good job presenting that I will keep my comments very brief and say that this project has undergone many changes over the years, and our City Council did approve it as consistent with the city's certified local coastal program on January 30th, 2025. Over the past year and a half, I know the applicant has worked closely with Coastal Commission staff to make even more changes. The reduction in the height of the buildings and the addition of the more affordable rooms, to be specific. City staff reviewed the changes to the project, and it is our opinion that it remains consistent with the city's local coastal program, and even to a greater extent because of the reduction in height and the addition of the affordable rooms. So we really support the project. We hope we encourage you to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Chidester.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Matthew Chidester. I'm the City Manager for the City of Half Moon Bay, and I'm grateful to have just a moment to speak with you today. As you heard, Mr. Jamison, the applicant, is a longtime Half Moon Bay resident, very engaged in the community, and has worked for many, many years to get this project to this point. I think the time that's been spent over the many years working with our community, Planning Commission, our City Council, and now Coastal Commission staff and the Commission itself has really created a wonderful project for our community. It is at the gateway, the South Gateway to our downtown. And as you know, we are a visitor serving economy, and our downtown plays a big role in that. And we're excited to have this wonderful new amenity, welcome people into our downtown, visitors and residents, and hopefully provide additional coastal access and bring in additional revenues, additional jobs, and again, provide a wonderful welcoming entry into our downtown. So we are in support of the project, and we encourage you to approve it as it's been proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have two in person, Crystalline Geit and Thomas Carey. You guys are here, go ahead and come on up. Followed by Norman Picker, David Klein, Irma Morowitz, and David Score.
Thank you so much. I'm Crystalline Geet. I run the Half Moon Bay Coastside Chamber of Commerce and the Visitor Center. So having that first time interaction with visitors to our area, and we are located right in the heart of downtown and not far from where this project is proposed, I can tell you with very much heartened enthusiasm that this project will solve multitude of problems that we face in serving our visitor community. One of those being the lack of rooms. During the pandemic, we lost 54 rooms, and we've had multiple smaller bed and breakfasts close over time as they're aging out or being converted back into housing. And so this would allow us to bring back some visitors that want to stay on our coast side but don't have to your point in earlier discussions, affordable options. It also helps us bring in those very important corporate groups that we currently turn away quite often because we don't have the available services to them. And the number one accommodations question I get in the visitor center is, where can we stay that's middle of the road? We are very well known for our Ritz-Carlton, and we love them dearly, but they are not for everyone. And this project, again, solves a multitude of issues, both in the economic development side of my job as the Chamber of Commerce, but also as the visitor serving side. And we appreciate the Jameson family and the city for all the work that they have done, and your staff for making this the most beautiful version that it could possibly be. And we very much urge you to please, please, please approve this project for the betterment of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas Carey. And then we'll go to Norman Picker, David Klein, Irma Moritz.
Good morning. I'm a member of a family that's owned property and worked the fields and done some small infill developments for over 100 plus years. Before it was a city. I'm here to 100% support the confirmation of this project going forward. This hotel will bring jobs and sales tax to support the city's aging infrastructure of its roads, its parks, its sewers facilities, and water. It will lift the activity that the downtown area businesses sorely need. New visitors will now be able to bike, they'll be able to walk to downtown, and spend money in our local area. It will take cars off the roads and give visitors an adequate place to stay and bike and enjoy the city's life and culture. Not many visitors can support and really stay at the Ritz, which is $900 to $1,000 a night. The visitors need a moderate named hotel in the city to stay and feel safe in. As a property owner and as a resident of the coast, I could say it does not affect any view corridor in the city, and it enhances the city's entrance and improves the vitality and the life of the citizens of the city of Half Moon Bay. The city has become one that I love, and I want to see it maintain and grow, and I want my future kids to keep with our family heritage and keep the city moving forward. It has evolved into one that the residents in the city will be proud of. More to the point, it's being led by a local family on the coast. Greg Jameson and the Jameson family. I have found them to be respectable and receptive to the communities and interests of Half Moon Bay first. This project is what the community and the city need. Please make this finally a reality. 10 years is way too long. Thank you.
Norman Picker, David Klein, Irma Moritz, sorry if I said that wrong, and David Score. Norman Picker.
Hello, Coastal Commission. Thanks for giving me a chance to speak. I live on Myrtle Street, a few blocks away, and I just hope you approve the project. There are lots of benefits that this project will bring. Not every project's worthy of approval. This one, I believe, is. Perfect projects are impossible to create, and it's the enemy of good enough to seek perfection. 10 years of planning's brought us to this moment of finally, hopefully, approving the project. The sticking point for approval is whether the hotel significantly impairs views of the hills. This, as you know, is what caused the CCC to take over the project a year ago, the review of the project. The project has been redesigned again in response to this concern. In fact, the owner developer has changed the design multiple times in response to public, city staff, and Coastal Commission staff input. He has consistently listened to input and worked to address it. The project shrunk nearly 50%. It was moved back from the highway. Second and third buildings lowered to 1 story. A substantial gap is provided between the north and south buildings to allow a clear view of the mountains. Beautiful, publicly accessible native landscaping and pedestrian and bike paths have been added between the structures and the highway. The parking was moved to the Main Street side, so it's not visible from the highway anymore. And 22 lower priced rooms are included. The design review, design changes, further review, public meetings, etc. has taken over 9 years. The project partially impacts views of the mountains, as you've seen in some of the pictures, but less than a number of existing structures along Highway 1. The owner developer cares about the community. I think you've heard that loud and clear. I just want to also say I care about the survival of our Main Street businesses, and we need smart development, and this is a good development that will attract midweek visitors and business travelers that will help our businesses thrive on Main Street. Without it, we don't have enough business locally to support that. And we're just going to miss out on a great opportunity if you vote against it. So please vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Irma Moore Whites, followed by David Score and Janie Smits. Irma, if you can unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll put the video on too. Good morning. This is what tourism has done to me personally and many other folks. Irma Morwitz, I'm a 30-year resident of Half Moon Bay. I disapprove of this project. In the 30 years, the traffic has increased tenfold. We used to see this kind of traffic only on pumpkin weekends and dream machines. This is now a weekly occurrence and many times during the week. In a full-on emergency, we could have a catastrophe. There's no way emergency vehicles could get there in time to save lives. A 5-minute trip to the grocery store now takes me 30 to 40 minutes each way on weekends, and I have a traffic light. This may not be important to you, but why keep building for tourism and not for locals who live here and have to pay high taxes to do so? We don't even have a hospital or a swimming pool. The property could be used for a public space for families that live here. The southern gateway to town is people's first impression of our beautiful community. The views of the inland hills from Route 1 are legally protected by our rules and regulation. The hotel project, even with revisions proposed, would be a massive looming structure permanently blocking the hills. And I know there's been revisions. This is traveling north and south. The project is out of compliance with local coastal programs in that location. Please help preserve our small town feeling. That's why people come here. We don't need a hotel. And Greg Jimison, I want you to get your money, but I think this is a wrong way. And I work up at the Johnson House, and it's just beautiful to be up there. It's been over there 100 years. Please, please, please do not build there. Thank you.
Thank you, David Score, followed by Janine Smits, followed by Melissa Light. We're moving guys to panelists ahead of time so we can keep rolling, so please accept. David Score, you can, I see you unmuted.
Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. Considering that this project was accepted by the Coastal Commission on Appeal, I hope the developer would have meaningfully reduced the size and bulk of the buildings to address the concerns of the commissioners. I don't believe that's the case. As well, the developer has made numerous misleading statements and representations which have been incorporated into the staff report and recommendations to you commissioners. Perhaps the most glaring of these is the slide in front of you. Note at the bottom the highlighted text. The applicant states that the south building will have no impact on the view corridor. Please go to the next slide. I need to address the fact that to assess view impacts, that must be done from the highway itself, not from 80 feet further away, as is done from the Patridge Trail, which minimizes the impact, the visual impact of the hotel buildings. This is figure 7 from page 17 of exhibits, a rendering from the developer himself. It shows that there are impacts to the view ridge lines, the views of the hillsides, and they are significant. There is a gap between the buildings. For 253 feet to the left of that gap and 185 feet to the right of that gap, the protected hillside views are 100% obstructed, even by the reduced height 25.5 foot tall south structure. This is a rendering from the applicant. This view corridor obstruction extends for hundreds of yards of travel along Route 1 when traveling both north and south. The developer's own renderings demonstrate clear evidence of noncompliance with visual resource protection standards of the LCP and of continuing CEQA significant and unavoidable impacts. I understand that the commission is under significant political pressure to approve the project, but political pressure changes neither the words nor the intent of the LCP. I urge a no vote on the resolution before you to preserve these views for thousands and thousands of visitors working, living, and traveling through Half Moon Bay for now and future generations. The Hyatt is not needed. We have adequate visitor serving capacity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Janie Smith, Melissa Light, Jim Mercusio. I think I said that wrong. Sorry. But Jim, if you can use the raise hand function so we know which item you're going to use. You have two. Perfect. Thank you. All right, Janie Smith. Janie Smith, I see you. Can you unmute yourself, please? I see your hand up, but I need you to. There you go.
Thank you. Hi there. My name is Jeannie Schmidt. My family and I have lived in Half Moon Bay and bought our house here and lived here for several years now. I'm urging a no vote on this resolution. We actually have plenty of mid-range hotels and a 56% occupancy. This process, what is brought before you, it still contains significant and permanent obstruction of the protected coastal hillside views. There is no monetary price nor acceptable legal compromise of these views, and they must be preserved. The current modifications do not remedy the violations that they were obligated to. The updated beautiful development is not in compliance with the local coastal program, nor the rules and regulations that cover development here. The hotel is still just too big for this location. Specifically, the views are obstructed, whether traveling north or south on Highway 1. They don't just give a fleeting visual impact. They're not remedied by the larger gap between the buildings in the revised plan. There's not just a partial blocking of views. They're blocked 100% from realistic vantage points, not just the ones specific in the presentation here. The staff report misinterprets LPC scenic corridor standards, which protect all portions, not just the ridgelines, but the hillsides too. It doesn't mean blocking some of it is okay just because it's for a few seconds on a drive-by, as they claim, which isn't true. The vantage point changes upon approaching buildings. It's not okay because drivers are busy driving and not looking out the window. The protected view belongs to everyone, drivers, passengers, people walking and cycling by. It cannot be sold or compromised. Yet the north structure, the largest portion of the project, remains 36 feet high. It completely obstructs the hills and extends well above the ridgeline. The south structure has been reduced, yet it completely still blocks views of the hillside, as shown in images in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa Light, Jim Mercurio, Alec Hogg, and Mike Alifano. Melissa?
Good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my support for this project. I am a Half Moon Bay resident, and I agree with the staff report that the project should be approved. I think there is virtually no impact to the view of the hills. The new design with the lower buildings and increased gap between the buildings blends seamlessly with the natural beauty of our small town. The native landscaping, the bike paths, and the beautiful design are a lovely addition to our southern gateway. The visual impact of the hills is fleeting as one drives up or down the highway, and there is much open space that surround the hotel. This project does finally bring mid-range branded hotels to the Half Moon Bay coast. Branded is an important call out here that they consistently have higher occupancy rates than non-branded hotels, and the Hyatt's presence will be a huge benefit to our downtown businesses. And the availability of bike rentals and bike paths, I believe, will reduce the automobile traffic. I'd also like to call attention to what I see as one of the most important community benefits that I think has not been talked about enough, and that is the equity component that this project addresses for our community members. Despite being in Silicon Valley with many folks working in tech, the majority of families in our town are low income. Over 50% of students at our local schools are from low income families. Due to our unique geography, it is very difficult for residents to have access to the employment opportunities across the Bay. The hotel industry is renowned for fostering upward mobility, allowing entry-level workers to advance into executive leadership, and branded hotels like the Hyatt have led the way with their professional development programs. A Hyatt hotel in our community will give so many young people in our town the opportunity to advance to executive careers across the globe. I urge you to approve this project for Half Moon Bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, Alex Hogg, Mike Alifano, and Dan Haggerty. We have about 12 speakers. 7 are showing about available right now, so the other half we're looking for. Go ahead, Jim.
Good morning. My name is Jim Mercurio. My wife and I reside in Vacaville, California. It's about 65 miles east of Half Moon Bay. And we'd like to go on record on supporting this project for a number of reasons. We'd like to highlight a few of them here. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that 10 years to get to this point is far too long, and perhaps it's a topic better for another conversation. But given the stature that you all have, I think if we can work better to try to get this type of projects and this type of growth to not last 10 years, we'd be in a much better position. The project was a good one from its inception. But I, having said what I just said, honestly have to admit, despite all the drama, the delays, and the debate, it actually resulted in an even better project design than what was first presented. The applicant, Mr. Jameson, is one of the most patient, fair, and respectable developers working today. He and his family have devoted their over 40 years to supporting and improving the community. And that's not to be lost on anybody in the room, and certainly anybody on who are listening. It's important to have not just an out-of-town developer come in and make changes to a city like Half Moon Bay. The city's in dire need of another hotel option like this, and we look forward to visiting Half Moon Bay and staying in this property soon after it's approved and built. Lastly, it should be noted that both staff and the applicant have done a terrific job in mitigating the opposition's main concerns and complaints, almost all of them. It's a good project for the city. It's a great project for the community, and I wholeheartedly support this project and respectfully request that you do so as well. Thanks in advance for your consideration and hopeful support and approval.
Thank you, Alex Hogg, Mike Alifano, and Dan Haggerty. Alex Hogg?
Should I go? This is Alex.
Go ahead. Where'd he go? Alec. Okay, well, we're not going to wait. Mike Alifano, Dan Haggerty, and then Colleen Henney. So, Mike, we'll come back to Alec Hogg. Go ahead,
Hello,
Mike.
my name is Mike. Hi, my name is Mike Alifano. I'm a homeowner here in Half Moon Bay. I've been a homeowner for 26 years. I was born and raised here, went to local public schools. I do have a local computer sales and service company here on Main Street for the last 26 years. I want to speak to the Jameson family, especially Greg. He's been my neighbor for 10 years. He actually did a beautiful job developing a half a dozen homes on my side of the street. Before Greg came to my street, we had half a street, and it was actually a hazard for people driving up and down a one-way street. And we got the whole street paved. He worked with all the residents to get their input on what they felt was an important change to our neighborhood. And since then, the city has paved our street, which was a disaster before Greg was here on our street. So I thank him for that. And I want to point out the fact that everything he said he would do, he did. And I appreciate that in this day and age. I support the hotel for several reasons. I am a little biased to the support here. I do live about a block away, but it impacts my neighborhood specifically. And I will be able to see this hotel from my backyard. I'm hoping that when the hotel's done, the rest of the lots behind my house get developed into some type of housing. So that will be a benefit to my home and my neighborhood. But more importantly is downtown has a issue with a lot of cars parking for a long period of time, a lot of recreational vehicles. Bringing attention to the South Main area will be a great impact to our area. And then aesthetically, I love the look of the hotel. I think the applicant has done a beautiful job in working with the the Coastal Commission to change what's needed. So I like that too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We're going to try Alec Hogg again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go for it. Thank you.
Sorry about that before. My name's Alec Hogg. My wife and I have been residents of Half Moon Bay for 35 years, currently living in Miramar. The protections incorporated into the rules enforced by the Coastal Commission and drafted into our LCP have contributed to keeping Half Moon Bay a wonderful community that has maintained some of its natural beauty. Simply put, this project doesn't comply with the LCP provisions. The buildings obstruct the viewshed. The Coastal Commission staff has noted that the reviewed proposal reduces the degree to which the project obstructs the viewshed. It does not state that the project no longer obstructs the views. So why is the staff compromising? Has it decided that the viewshed is no longer important? The rule of protecting the viewshed is fundamental to the charter of the Coastal Commission. Approving a project that violates the rule only encourages others to violate similar rules. I know political pressure has been exerted on the commission to approve. Representative Liccardo stated that the notion of a 2 to 3 hotel in a very urbanized downtown Half Moon Bay poses an impediment to the viewscape to the east puzzled me as well. Any visitor enjoying a trip down Highway 1 will have their eyes fixated to the west on the beautiful coastal landscape and ocean. Well, personally, I'm puzzled by the fact that my congressman is encouraging a developer to ignore the LCP and suggesting that you, the Coastal Commission, turn a blind eye to its legal responsibility to protect the viewshed. I'm also puzzled by his assessment of what makes this a beautiful place. The combination of the ocean and the hills makes our California coast uniquely beautiful. Additionally, though the project claims to fulfill the worthy objective of ensuring that less affluent people can have reasonably priced lodging, achieving this objective does not require that the viewshed be destroyed. So please do not concede to the pressure from both the political and business interests to ignore the LCP and coastal plan. Reject this proposal and ask the developer to return with a proposal that follows the rules protecting the viewshed.
Okay. Dan Haggerty, followed by Colleen Henney, followed by Brent Turner and David Beaumont. Dan, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling against this project. My name's Dan Haggerty, 37-year coastal resident of the Half Moon Bay coast side. This project absolutely impacts the views of the coastal hills that are clearly protected by the Half Moon Bay LCP. At the Southern Gateway and the first impression of Half Moon Bay, this is too big. It does not say you're entering Half Moon Bay. I've talked with many visitors who also express concerns of keeping the small town character of Half Moon Bay. It's very important. This coast side is a regional asset that benefits hundreds of thousands of regular visitors getting away from the surrounding regional metropolis. There's additional evacuation concerns, but the main issue is the loss of the views of the hills. It's been acknowledged, and we should not whittle away the character of Half Moon Bay. Whatever is built should reflect the LCP protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen Henney.
Hi there, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Colleen Henney, president of the board of the Half Moon Bay Downtown Association. We in downtown Half Moon Bay, the business community, strongly feel that this hotel would hugely benefit not only the city of Half Moon Bay's financial situation, as well as the health and vitality of Main Street's family-owned businesses. Approximately 70% of revenue downtown comes from visitors. We also recognize that our coast side has lost a huge hotel to housing for the unhoused community within the city limits, and we are at capacity on the coast side for mid-priced accessible rooms. We love the open space and the access that this property would provide for the purposes of wetlands, trails, biking, and education. We feel the builder has gone to enormous lengths to accommodate community feedback. The 4-second drive-by on Highway 1 where the hotel would block a tiny section of views that span the entirety of the coastside pales in comparison to preserving our local vitality, the health and revitalizing of a derelict plot of land. This project is a beautifully designed. The Hyatt is a responsible and reputable host, and we implore you to allow this project to move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Brent Turner, followed by David Beaumont. David Klein, Harvey Rarbach, Carrie Burke, Suzanne Bergen, and Judy Taylor. If you guys can use your raise hand function on Zoom so we can find you. As of right now, we don't see you. Go ahead, Brent Turner. Okay, Brent, can you try to speak for us?
Yes, hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Okay. No, or am I on?
You're on, let's roll.
Okay. Hello, Coastal Commissioners. My name is Brent Turner. I wanted to reach out to you today and associate myself with the comments I've heard from Mr. Hogg and Mr. Shore, and thinking that by the tenor of this hearing, that this is likely to be built at some point. I hope there is sensitivity to the concerns of the community regarding not only evacuation ability, but and the traffic considerations, but naturally the view corridors and any adjustments that are necessitated by the LCP should obviously be adhered to. So I'm taken aback a bit by the conversation that's going on. I admittedly am a unique realtor. I'm a no-growther. I think Half Moon Bay is perfect as it is and doesn't need any solution to any supposed problem, because I don't see a problem. I think it's a great place and everything seems to be in order. Normally I stay out of local politics, but in this case I wanted to say, let's root, if you got to build it, be very sensitive, keep it at a single level as much as possible, and make sure that it is LEED platinum. It should be the showplace for proper conservation practices if you have to build on the coastside. I don't think that you do. I think the place is perfect as it is, and I wish that it would retain its small town feel. But if you're hell bent on building there, at least make sure it's LEED platinum and that it serves the community well. Thank you for your time and your efforts.
Thank you. Next is David Beaumont.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Good morning, commissioners. Expanding the middle tier of visitor lodging in Half Moon Bay is greatly needed to the large gap in units within that range. Other speakers today have spoken to you well about the many benefits of this hotel, so I'm going to instead direct my focus on the following. One of the key and critical visitor profiles to Half Moon Bay is that of attendees to conferences, meetings, symposia. Half Moon Bay punches far above its weight in this specific regard. Visitors especially enjoy walking and biking through downtown Old Half Moon Bay, and this site is at the very gateway to downtown and will only further enhance and serve this. So in that vein, I have a very specific request to the commissioners today, and that is if you would please modify the conditions of approval such that additional latitude be granted in the wording of the CDP to allow reasonable expansion of meeting spaces, and this is key, within the approved development footprint, so that this critical visitor element is further enabled. Again, my request is that the wording of the CDP be granted with sufficient reasonable latitude so that the applicant can find during construction where is valid and where it is reasonable for such meeting spaces to be further expanded. Lastly, as former Mayor Ruddock highlighted, it is often missed by all that the commission is here to strike a balance. This project has gone far above and beyond in this respect. I ask that you join the many coastside community residents who support this project in approving this very welcome visitor serving addition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I see Paula Eisen. I see your hand raised. If you are using a different person's Zoom name for David Klein or Harvey Rarbach, Carrie Burke or Suzanne Bergen and Judy Taylor. If you're not any of those, please put the hand function down. If you are, keep it up. Okay, it's still up. Let's see who this may be. Okay, Paula Eisen, are you any other names restated?
Oh, there we go. Finally got unmuted. Yes, I'm Paulette Eisen.
Okay, so you're not on the list, so we cannot have you speak on this item, okay? You have to sign up for that. I'm sorry.
I did. Okay. That
did not. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. No more speakers.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I will return to the applicant to see if they have any closing or responsive comments they'd like to make. Thank you, sir. You have 7 minutes and 30 seconds remaining.
Okay. The one slide that it came up, I believe by Dave Shore, it was an old draft slide, and in your presentation, if you want to pull up the, I don't know if we still can do that, or if you can pull up the city staff's presentation, it shows the correct slide, which shows the south building is a single story and not a two-story. That was an early slide. Somehow it got in the packet, but they replaced it yesterday in the addendum with the correct slide, in case you want to see it. Other than that, the percentage of the site, it's like 257 feet, is that one north building, versus the length of the entire site along Highway 1, it's about 27%, which means approximately 73% of the site has no structures. And versus looking at the entire length of Highway 1 on the east side, we're doing an extremely good job to protect the site as much as we can. Plus, we're creating huge setbacks with all the open space. So I think we've done everything we possibly can to make it as quality as we could. That's all I really have, unless you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jameson.
That's the incorrect one.
It's in our addenda. We can
Slide
go.
8.
Yeah, it was in the addenda. And I don't know where it is in the slides, but they did have the correct one somewhere.
It's slide 8 if people are interested.
Yeah, and so that one shows the correct structure on the right, which is below the ridge line. So that gives the correct picture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing and return to our staff. Mr. Henningsen.
Yes, thank you, Chair Harmon. We agree that there are some view impacts associated with the revised project. That is to be expected when developing a vacant site. Importantly, the applicant has worked with staff to make meaningful changes to minimize the visual impacts, as is required by the LCP, and in response to concerns raised during the SI hearing. This is discussed in more detail in the addendum. In addition, the developer also revised the project to include 22 lower-cost rooms, which will provide important low-cost visitor accommodations in Half Moon Bay. Therefore, staff continues to recommend approval of this project, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will return to the commission and begin with Commissioner Lee.
Thank you. I just wanted to commend the applicant and staff for meeting together and revising this project in a way that make such meaningful changes to the project, especially by breaking up the massing, widening the view corridors, improving the project's relationship to the highway. I know personally how difficult it can be to go and remass and costly even for the architectural. Just as important, this project really includes very meaningful public access packages, and the lower cost overnight accommodations are such an important component. I appreciate the commitment to outreach and the ability to allow underserved communities, especially in an area where you cited other hotels in the area. This is a more moderate price point. We've talked so much about the limitations of our lower cost overnight accommodations outreach. I will not belabor that point, but just to reemphasize how incredibly important that is to the commission and how meaningful that is. The last point that I would make, though, too, is not to recommend any changes to this project whatsoever, but just to staff in the future. I noticed that the 22 lower cost rooms are in a separate building in the single-story building, and just as I view this as a corollary to affordable units in mixed income projects, to make sure that those rooms in particular are not of an inferior quality, of an inferior building with a separate entrance. All of those types of components could be considered in the future. We normally prefer that lower cost rooms are mixed in with the other rooms and that there isn't a lot of differentiation in between them. But overall, this is a wonderful project taking place on a developable piece of empty land right now, and will hopefully be a great boost of economic activity and coastal access for Half Moon Bay. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Preciado.
I want to associate myself with Commissioner Lee's comments, but I wanted to also highlight that in this project, as happened in others, including our enforcement action yesterday, the development of ADA facilities continues to be a prominent aspect of the Commission's work, and I just want to commend the continued focus on ADA-associated development aspects in these projects. As someone who spent some time in Ventura in the last few days, I can tell you that it's critical for our enjoyment to have these amenities and to be able to participate fully. In addition, I also want to associate my comments with some of the speakers that talked about balance. I appreciate that this project represents a balanced approach. It's not a, shall we say, developer has the win or environment has the win or no one has the win. It seems like it's a win-win-win-win for many of the stakeholders and perspectives. And I just commend everyone involved in this project. I see that with community input, with community engagement, and the support of the Commission staff, we can have projects that are worthwhile and will bring benefit for generations to this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kelly.
I had a couple questions for staff and possibly for city staff. So for the public access amenities and the public restroom, is that something that the hotel is going to be developing and maintaining for public use? And where will that be located?
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. I'm not familiar with that particular question, but I know we have the district manager and deputy director on the line.
Okay.
Hi, this is Stephanie Rexing, district manager.
Please.
I can answer that. Yeah, it's going to be located in the northeast portion of the site. It will be available 24/7, but it's going to be keyed after 1 hour after sunset and 1 hour before sunrise. You can get the key from the front desk, and the applicant may have more on that.
Okay, thank you. And then for the bike and pedestrian improvements that are happening in the public open space area adjacent to the highway, is that pathway, does it connect to neighboring parcels, or is this just kind of like a meandering walking path that doesn't have connection? I know we're also doing like a lot line adjustment and other subdivision for the northern properties. So is there a vision that this pathway will connect to something else for those bicycle uses? I'm asking.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It links up at the it links up at the north to Main Street, and then down at the southern end, it links up to the Southern Gateway area, Highway 1, where there's, I believe, pedestrian crosswalks that can take you across Highway 1. The applicant may have more details understanding the lay of the land.
Do you anything you guys want to add, or go ahead?
I'll just explain it, but along Highway 1, it runs the path that you see meander through. It does run over to Highway 1, which goes to the west edge, and then it runs northerly up to Seymour Street, which is on the north side of the car dealership. So that path will connect there. And then at the south end, it meanders back into a sidewalk that takes you back to Main Street and wraps around up to the intersection, so that it's a signaled intersection. So it makes it very easy for them to be able to go back and forth across Highway 1. And that's not to mention, we will be improving the west side of Main Street, which right now is just an asphalt curb. So we'll have curb gutter and sidewalk. So it makes it much safer for people now to get back and forth to Main Street and to the other side of the highway.
Okay, thank you. I had one more question for you.
Sure.
So for the future development potential, as we're looking at an action today that I think subdivides the car dealership lot, but currently the car dealership will maintain, but there's an intent of future residential use on that site, and so we're doing a 4-lot subdivision. Is that correct? Can you talk to us a little bit about what, I know we're not issuing a development permit for that today, but there may be a future action that comes before us. Can you talk a little bit about what your vision is for that and what may be coming down the road?
Okay, yeah, it's a single parcel now. It's on the north side of Seymour. And so all we're doing is breaking it into 4 parcels, in which we will have to process through the city under the standards and story pools, the whole deal, whatever they require, and we will go through the standards as far as whatever city code requires for us to make those improvements at such time. It's our goal to, of the 4, we're going to try to develop the one at the closest to Main Street first. It'll be easy to do sidewalk connections to that and so forth, because we still need the parking for the car dealership to operate. But we think we can build that first lot, and we're trying to build it that we can build it for employees, meaning it's hard to find housing. And our goal there is that we're going to build that, and we would like to rent it to our employees, which could be either of the hotel or from the car dealership. But that's how this was designed all along. That's been our plan.
Great. And then, sorry, my last question. So as this is currently proposed as a Hyatt Place hotel, which I want to align myself with the comments of Commissioner Lee regarding the low-cost accommodations and appreciate the commitment to those low-cost accommodation units. I think on the whole, as a Hyatt Place property, given the bandwidth of what the Hyatt can look like from, I think it's Park Hyatt at the high end that kind of mirrors a Ritz-Carlton-like property down to a more affordable option. What keeps this property kind of in the Hyatt Place realm? Is that something that you guys, I know it's not a commitment in the long run in terms of a permit restriction or condition here, but tell me a little bit about, I mean, I'm delighted to see that it is a Hyatt Place that's being proposed.
Right, it's custom all the way because of the design elements over the 10 years and working with the city. It's nothing like a standard. And so regardless of what the product would be, we've obviously put the quality into that design. The rooms you had asked earlier about, the 22 affordable rooms, those will be the same rooms. So we're not changing that. The quality will be the same through. The Ritz-Carlton has a bank of rooms that's separate from their main, and they charge a different price point, but they're the same rooms as that are within the main body. So it's not unusual to do it that way, and there's no intent to try to separate anybody from one group from the other, but we think it'll be very nice the way it's designed.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, well, Commissioner Wilson to the motion? Or if you'd like to make a motion?
Sure, I'm happy to make the motion here, and then I'll speak to that if I can. I move that the commission approve coastal development permit number A-2-HMB-25-0003 pursuant to the staff recommendation. I recommend a yes vote.
Second.
And I just wanted to say that when this came before us, I actually did not find this inconsistent before, so I just want to put out there that I was supportive of this project in its original format, but I want to appreciate and recognize that it is a better project from having pulled this back, and I want to appreciate the applicant and staff and working together to get it to that place. And sort of beyond the LCP visual resource consistency, this strong public amenities package is just really great. And in just looking at the space and where it's, it is infill from my perspective, and looking at where it sits, people who are going to access the bike and pedestrian facilities and extending out from that there's some really cool places that they can go and experience, including just getting down to the beach, and the trails down to there are great, and coming into town. So I just think that's going to be very positive. So I just want to extend my appreciation. The lower cost room accommodations, very meaningful for sure. And sort of that southern gateway siting, I think is great. And I'm just going to put this in an editorial format because, it's not a factor. It's part of the analysis, but I do want to recognize that this commission had a fairly substantive discussion around short-term rentals in your community not that long ago. I mean, it was maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and pressure on or for communities to convert residential areas or residential housing to short-term rentals comes oftentimes from a lack of the ability to provide hotel space in those areas. And whether people do it legally or illegally or through the permit process or not, that pressure exists. And so from my perspective, hotel development or these types of development actually have an impact and are a part of helping to create or maintain affordable housing or more affordable housing in these areas. So I just want to, again, that's editorializing. It's not in our analysis, but I just want to recognize that those relationships do exist, and I want to appreciate the potential for that relationship. With that, I recommend a yes vote.
Okay.
Second.
I think Commissioner Lee already seconded. I'll just say, for my part, briefly, I'll join with my colleagues. I'm in strong support. This is a great project, a huge improvement, and really appreciate the collaborative effort to get us where we are today. So with that, are there any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, the motion carries. Excellent. Congratulations. Okay, we're going to keep on. We're on a bit of a time crunch here. So we will move on to item 8, the Deputy Director's report for the Central Coast District.
Thank you, Chair Harmon. In the Central Coast District Director's report this month, we are reporting 5 waivers, 1 coastal permit amendment, 3 coastal permit extensions, 1 emergency permit, and 2 LCP amendment certifications. Although we didn't receive any written objections, we note that we have someone signed up to speak in opposition, where we believe it is in opposition to the Cayucos to Morro Bay Trail project that the Commission approved in 2024. I would note that the issue before you today is simply whether to extend that permit, and it is not to discuss the merits of the project. We continue to believe that there are not any changed circumstances that would suggest that the permit not be extended. Excuse me. Past that, we are not aware of any objections or controversy regarding the other matters in the DD's report, and so the question is whether 3 or more commissioners object to the items in the report, and if not, then the Commission will concur.
Thank you. Any ex partes? Any public comments?
Yes, we have Susan Dunn. Susan Dunn, I see you in panelists. If you can unmute yourself. Susan Dunn. There you go.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have vision and speech issues from a car accident, although I'm very happy to be alive and here. So if I could have a little bit of grace, that'd be fantastic. My name is Susan Dunn from South Cayucas. This request is to grant the time extension for the Morro Bay to Cayucas connector only after inclusionary policy that fully conforms with federal ADA rules is created so the connector is fully and equally accessible to the large population of disabled and elderly residents of South Cayucas. It's the neighborhood at the north end of the connector with 782 homes and no services. SLO County blocked off the Cabrillo Bridge on the north side of South Cayucas, so disabled and elderly have no off-highway access north to any services. Thus, the only potential off-highway access to basic services is the Morro Bay to Cayucas connector. This path currently appears exclusionary to only allow able-bodied bicyclists and pedestrians. Disabled and elderly persons' taxes are paying for this path, and they deserve access to the same public facilities and basic services. The federal ADA Other Power-Driven Mobility Devices webpage simply explains the law, stating many devices, including golf carts and segways, are federally recognized mobility devices. With over 20 years of planning, 782 landlocked South Cayucas homes without frontage roads or any off-highway access, full path and beach disabled access should be included. Disabled and elderly persons don't want to play Mother May I with the county to have half the access that is afforded to the bicyclists and pedestrians now who currently have physical and legal access on the shoulder of the highway that's wide enough to accommodate a full-size truck. Also, emissions will be improved and cars will be taken off the road with an inclusive plan. Please do the legal and right thing and require the path to be accessible. I'm available to work with anybody to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. No other speakers. Others are just available for questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, I will return to the commission, see if 3 or more commissioners object to any item in the Deputy Director's report. Okay, seeing no objections, the commission concurs. Thank you very much. Okay, now to our final item of the day, item 10A.
Yes, thank you, Chair Harmon. I am introducing Maddie Whitman, coastal planner from our Central Coast office, who's going to be giving the staff presentation.
Good morning, Chair Harmon and Commissioners. Item 10A is an appeal of a City of Pacific Grove CDP decision authorizing removal of overgrown vegetation in Crespi Pond. Staff distributed an addendum yesterday in response to further comments from the appellant, but neither those comments nor our responses to them change our recommendation. Next slide, please. Slide 2 shows an aerial view of the Monterey Peninsula with the project site noted by the red arrow within the City of Pacific Grove. The City of Monterey is located upcoast, and Del Monte Forest and the City of Carmel by the Sea are downcoast. Next slide, please. Slide 3 zooms in to show the project site, which is circled in red on the city's municipal golf course. The 94-year-old golf course is situated at Point Pinos on the city's northernmost edge, and Crespi Pond is located between the 16th and 17th holes along Ocean View Boulevard. The pond is a natural feature that is also a water hazard element of the golf course. Next slide, please. The city's approval authorizes removal of overgrown aquatic vegetation within Crespi Pond to improve habitat values. Vegetation would be removed along the perimeter and center of the pond using barge-mounted equipment to maintain approximately 70% open water and 30% vegetation. Nearly an acre of vegetation would initially be removed, and then removal would occur as needed to maintain the ratio every 2 years. The CDP covers a 5-year period of such activities. Next slide, please. Crespi Pond is an important feature for many migratory bird species, and the management of emergent vegetation to maintain sufficient open water requires ongoing effort by the city. Slide 5 shows how the vegetation in the pond has ebbed and flowed over time. As you can see, the vegetation needs to be periodically removed to help maintain an optimal open water to vegetation ratio. Historically, the city has removed vegetation to maintain the 70-30 balance, including pursuant to multiple Coastal Commission authorizations for the same project before you today prior to LCP certification. Next slide, please. The appellant contends that the city's approval is inconsistent with Pacific Grove LCP provisions related to ESHA, water quality, and marine resources, including that it allows activities outside the windows required by other agencies, and alleges that the city was not in compliance with its previous CDP waiver. In terms of ESHA, specifically wetlands, the appellant contends that the city did not account for adjacent areas of the golf course that are seasonally wet, and that the project does not comply with the LCP's 100-foot buffer requirement. Buffers are meant to ensure that the structural and other development is set back a sufficient distance from sensitive habitat so as not to adversely impact the habitat. The project is a habitat enhancement project that must be located within the habitat itself, and imposition of a buffer in the traditional sense is not necessary. Regarding water quality, the appellant contends that the project fails to comply with LCP requirements because the project does not address poor water quality in Crespi Pond. However, the goal of the project is to improve the habitat value of the pond, including its water quality, and the project includes appropriate best management practices to address potential construction impacts. The appellant also contends that the city's approval does not comply with other agency requirements for timing of the work because the CDP allows for work from September 1st to February 1st, when California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Regional Board only allow work in the month of September. The city is only legally allowed to conduct the work in September per those resource agencies' authorizations, which the city has acknowledged, and thus the work will only be conducted in September. Finally, the appellant contends that the city is in violation of the last commission authorization from 2014 because they have not done any vegetation removal since 2015. However, although that prior authorization allowed for the same 5-year vegetation management plan as the current project, it did not affirmatively require that it take place, and there is no violation in this regard. And in any event, that authorization has since expired and is being replaced by this new CDP. Next slide, please. In sum, the city's approval authorizes habitat enhancement designed to provide an appropriate balance of open water and vegetation to better support wildlife that use the pond. Much of the contentions and the appellant's latest correspondence appear to suggest that there's a substantial issue because the city should be doing more to improve the pond. While it is likely that all parties can agree that the additional restoration would be beneficial, that is a different question than whether the project raises any LCP conformance concerns. As described in the staff report, not only does the city's project not raise a substantial issue, but it will enhance Crespi Pond resource values and is LCP consistent. For these reasons, staff recommends that the commission determine that no substantial issue exists with respect to the grounds on which the appeal was filed. The motion and resolution to implement staff's recommendation are found on page 5 of the staff report, and this concludes staff presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any ex partes? Okay, with that, we'll open the public hearing, and I'll turn it over to Simone.
Okay, we have the appellant who wishes to speak, Tony Ciani or Anthony Ciani. I'm assuming that's the same person, but you never know. I move them to, okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. The city CDP and the Commission staff recommendation for no substantial issue are based on a 2004 CDP used over 20 years ago to dredge the vegetation. That was before the LCP was updated and certified by the Commission in 2020. In short, the city's coastal permit fails to adequately implement the 2020 updated land use plan policies to restore Crespi Pond wetland. Next slide, please. Crespi Pond is a small but valuable ancient wetland visited by Gaspar de Portola and Juan Crespi during their expedition to find Monterey Bay in 1770. The estuary was mapped in 1847, well before the golf course was conceived in 1959. It has long been a natural stopping place for migrating birds on the Pacific Flyway. Next slide, please. The science and pollution is real. The Regional Water Quality Board test results reported action levels that are benchmarks set for receiving water concentrations at which pollutants may impact cold water fish. Crespi Pond repeatedly exceeds the action levels and objectives for chloride, geldar nitrogen, sodium, total dissolved solids, and total nitrogen. Instead of restoring Crespi Pond wetland pursuant to the LCP and as recommended by the California Native Plant Society and Monterey Audubon, the city's CDP proposes to merely prevent the polluted water in Crespi Pond from entering Monterey Bay. Next slide, please. The city CDP does not comply with LCP policy MAR 3 that mandates development shall include specific measures to help reduce potential pollutants and water quality impairment, including controlling the use of pesticides and herbicides. That's not in the permit. The city's CDP does not comply with MAR 5 and MAR 6 that mandate the quality of wetlands and estuaries shall be maintained and where feasible, restored. The CDP is for vegetation management, not restoration. It and the staff report treat water in Crespi Pond as polluted water that must not flow into Monterey Bay, but fails to protect the water quality in Crespi Pond itself. These issues are substantial. Furthermore, the city's timeline is not consistent with the September-only work timelines required by the Water Quality Board and Fish and Game permits. They should be together, so leaving the permit as it is does not do this. Therefore, I request the Commission find the appeal raises a substantial issue. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Anthony. No more speakers.
We do have the City Pacific Grove. Daniel,
you
go.
did. Daniel, go.
Are they available for questions or would they like to speak?
We have it indicated that they wish to speak.
Please go ahead.
Daniel, if you can accept. I'm now seeing Joseph Sider. Guess he.
Joseph is also in, and he's being moved in as panelist.
Yeah.
Thank you, commissioners and commission staff. I'm Daniel Go. I'm Public Works Director, Deputy City Manager, and also the applicant for this project, a project that the city has been working on for over 3 years. And we started working on this project, well, in the past, for the past 10 plus years, the commission has given us a waiver to perform the same exact work. But we started working on this project approximately 3 years ago, as members of the public, including the appellant, continue to come to our Beautification and Natural Resources Commission and also our city council, asking us to dredge the pond and remove the vegetation and begin enhancement of it. At that time, the city, through Public Works, opted to move forward with the project, and we performed all the necessary environmental documents. We did an initial study with a mitigated negative declaration. We've obtained all the permits for this project, and we're ready to move forward with it. We brought it forward initially to our planning commission, who administers our LCP, and we received a unanimous vote to move forward with this project. It then got appealed to our city council, which also received a unanimous vote from our city council to move forward with this project, knowing that the members of the public want to see it in our golfing community. And then this was appealed today to the commission, and thank you again for hearing it. This project is simple. It's simply a maintenance project. You've heard about water quality, and every quarter, because of our local water project, the reclaimed water that we're using on the golf course for irrigation, we have to test Crespi Pond. Regional water quality, the local out of Monterey, they don't question the quality of the Crespi Pond. We're not exceeding anything besides the baselines. Let me rephrase that. When we started our local water project back in 2017, we got baseline numbers. The quality of the water in the pond is very consistent with those baseline numbers from 2017. Nothing has changed. This project will only enhance the quality of the water in the pond and the habitat for birds and all of the species around Crespi Pond. It's an important project for the city, and we appreciate you hearing it today. And I'm also available for any questions. Thank you very much.
Joseph Snyder, are you speaking as well, or? Okay, no more speakers now.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I will close the public hearing and see if our staff has any brief comments they'd like to make, or you're good? Okay.
The development proposed in this project is towards restoration of the pond and thus is consistent with the LCP policies. And we note that Audubon and the California Native Plant Society submitted letters concurring with this action to remove vegetation to restore the mosaic of habitats within the pond.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I will return to the commission. Comments, questions, or a motion?
Happy to make a motion.
Please.
I move that the commission determine that appeal number A-3-PGR-26-0013 raises no substantial issue with respect to the grounds on which the appeal has been filed under section 30603, and I recommend a yes vote.
Second.
That's a motion by Vice Chair Hart, a second by Commissioner Lopez. Any objections to unanimous consent? Seeing none, no substantial issue has been found. Okay, thank you all so much. Thank you to staff. Thank you very much to AGP. You guys are the best. And thank you to Ventura for having us. We will see all of you next month in Scotts Valley.